Welcome to the School of Love, the place where miracles are normal. Hello and welcome to the School of Love, the place where we learn practical tools based on scientific research and our own experiences towards improving ourselves, living life to its fullest, and contributing to the best of our abilities to the world around us. I am Dr. Grajdian, and I am a professor of media studies and anthropology at Hiroshima University. In my free time, I'm doing my best to guide you in building up a life of contentment, joy, and fulfillment while applying lessons learned in school to overcome the difficulties, challenges, and insecurities of the real world. Today's video is part of a new series on life at 45. As I have entered the second half of the 45th year of my life, there are specific thoughts and emotions I have been experiencing. While these are insights coming from myself as a woman, mother, and citizen, I deeply hope they might be helpful and useful for men as well. In today's video on Life at 45, I share my thoughts on what I wish I could tell my younger self in my late 20s, when I was both confused and very, very lonely due to circumstances in my life which seemed increasingly chaotic. It will take approximately 15 years from 2006 until 2021 to sort out one initial mistake. In doing so, I am making peace with my past and allowing my inner, young, inexperienced self to heal so that I can move forward in my life with serenity and in dignity. And now, first things first, that is two important disclaimers. The first disclaimer serves to strongly emphasize the fact that this YouTube channel, the School of Love, is not part of my educational and research activities at Hiroshima University. It is nonetheless part of my privilege, joy, and sense of duty to propagate and implement knowledge, information, as well as motivation and inspiration outside the limited framework of academic endeavors. Together, we can build up a better tomorrow for as many of us as possible. The second disclaimer relates to the fact that I'm a trained musician and musicologist, not a psychologist, therapist, or counselor. The ideas I am sharing in my videos reflect my deep-going preoccupation with life, my own life and other people's lives, and express the results of my experiences, research, and for better or for worse, my failures, as well as my recovery from those failures, recovery which is continuously ongoing. The ideas expressed in the videos on this channel, named the School of Love, cannot and may not and must not replace the consultation with specialists in whichever areas of your life you might have questions or you might struggle with. If you are new to the channel, at this moment I would like to ask you to please consider subscribing, sharing, liking, commenting. Thank you very, very much. This helps us not only with that mysterious algorithm which seems to dominate the YouTube galaxy, but also with contributing to the expansion of the community of humans doing their best to impact positively the world and those around them by discovering their authentic selves and living life wholeheartedly. Thanks again. So, what do I wish I could tell my younger self in my late 20s? Well, that was late 20s, whereas the years I refer particularly to years 2004 to 2006, 2007. So roughly the years 27, 20, 29, roughly until I got 30, because already by then my life had taken a very unhappy direction, and everything I was doing in those years was damage control essentially, but I lacked the awareness and the maturity to actually go back in time and see when had been the initial mistake which had kick-started the chaos in my life. Because between 1996 and roughly late 2005, early 2006. Now I know. Now I know, but back then I didn't know. My life actually had been flourishing and going better, from better to better. And I was really recovering very beautifully. And then something happened at the beginning of 2006. I don't go here into what exactly happened, but that moment, January, February, very really the beginning of March 2006, there were two events. No looking back, I know it, but back then I didn't know it. There were two events which essentially destroyed the next 15 years and essentially put my life on a trajectory which essentially changed it forever. And it did change it forever. And this is that younger self I'm addressing now, my late 20s. My life was going actually very nicely, was going on very nicely. I was recovering very smoothly and consistently from a childhood and an adolescence which had been disastrous to say the least. But I was recovering because nowadays we know, the brain, the prefrontal cortex attains full maturity around the age of 25. So even if until 19 years old, when I left my parental home, my life was anything but good. But I still had a couple of years until my brain matured fully, in which the plasticity, the neuroplasticity of my brain was in full swing. And those years were actually very good for me. I developed very nicely, very consistently. I blossomed. But then I moved to Germany in 2000, in September 2000 or October 2000, and a new phase of my life started. And really, the 5 years until the end of 2005, they were actually very good years. I graduated from university with a master in musicology, Japanese studies, and French. I had gone to Japan for the first time, which had been the dream of my childhood. Things were looking better than ever. And then two events which just happened. Two events which happened with people who should have known better but didn't. So I don't get into details. And my life just derailed completely until, I would say, mid to late 2021. So until 15 years later, when I managed somehow to find my way back into normality. So what would I tell my younger self in her late 20s is, don't. Just don't go there. You know it's wrong. Yes, it is familiar from that past you actually moved away from. But don't go there. Just stay on the track on which you are right now. There are beautiful people around you supporting you. There are great events coming up in your life. You have been to Japan long term, and now you're going back with gorgeous scholarships at gorgeous research and educational institutions. Life is opening up to you in ways you never knew it might become possible. Just don't go there. Don't go back to that mental and emotional space of your childhood and adolescence. Eventually, of course, I did, because I didn't know what I know now. And it wasn't good. So this is something which, and I know around me there are many people who have done the same, from various cultural spheres, from various social educational backgrounds, because that is the age, late 20s, when we're out from the institutionalized educational system and we're start of our lives. And because we are still insecure, and if we don't have a very strong and very healthy basis, we are confused. We don't really know. Should I move forward with what I want to do, what I feel I'm called for, or should I actually follow the advice of those who potentially want the best for me? My advice is always do whatever you want. Don't go back to something which feels familiar, because it is precisely that familiarity you ran away from years ago. Don't choose familiarity over healthy development. Even if healthy development feels uncomfortable, feels unfamiliar, and sometimes it even feels threatening, but it is familiarity which eventually might kill you. It is comfortable, it is warm, it is reassuring, but it's a familiarity one had run away from several years ago. I know several people, many people, too many maybe, who have done that. Some of them in their late 20s, some of them in their early 30s. This is the age when we discover we are actually grown-ups. We have rights and we have obligations, and because we do not have the background to feel stable and self-secure, we relapse into a sense of familiarity, which was bad. We know it's bad, but it's comfortable and it is reassuring. And in best case scenario, it takes years to recover from that, from relapsing into familiarity. In worst case scenario, we never do. And I know both cases. I know people who never recovered from relapsing into familiarity. I was fortunate enough to recover, but with very big scars and with consequences in my life which will last forever. So thank you for being there today too. Thank you for listening. I hope I delivered some insights, some necessary, some helpful insights, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you very soon again. Love and peace to you all.